SonicNews! A news show appears. It's super effective. I am SSF. Why? Pull my finger, please. Please? No? Screw you. I was polite. Ugh.
Welcome to Sonicland.
Live from the magnificent state of Virginia, here's your host, the news dude of Sonic Paradox, Sonic Sega fan, 1991.
This is the Sonic News Show special presentation. I dare any of you to try to repeat that ending part of that bumper there. Anyway, hi guys. Hello to everyone watching out there. On Sonic Paradox, E3 has come and gone. Thank fuck. Yeah, E3 is come and gone. Welcome to the Sonic News Show. Yeah. The post-E3 special. That's right, guys. As of now, the E3 coverage is finally going to come to an end, which means finally I can go back to normality. Finally I can stop, going for hours on end doing coverage. And finally I can stop bashing Microsoft for now. Because they're shitheads. What else is there? Yeah. But yes, hello to everyone watching. Yeah, it's been a long week. It's been a really, really long week. And, I'm sure everyone's glad for it to be over with, so. With that in mind, we are 1 week away from Sonic's 22nd birthday. So the Sonic Fan Film Festival is next week. I don't know if there's going to be a Sonic News Show next week, but we'll see. I wouldn't even be surprised if there wasn't, though. But, indeed, E3 has come and gone. And I think to summarize E3, essentially, Microsoft said "fuck you, consumers." Sony said "fuck you, fuck you, Microsoft." EA said "fuck you, we have sports." Ubisoft said "fuck you, Girlwood." And Nintendo said "fuck our plumbers." And I guess if you want to get even more technical, Sega said "fuck our parkour." I don't think they really said that as much as one would think they did, but that's just me. But yes. But indeed, E3 was better than the past few years, I will admit. But I really don't think, other than Sony, that it was really... most of the conferences were meh at best, but Sony's was the only, good one in any sense. Even that had, honestly, I think even that had a bit of a drawback or two. Some big drawbacks, so, I mean, and I'll get to them in a moment, but, it's... First things first, I think it's high time to explain, as I'm forgetting once again to put the Sonic Paradox logo up. But yes, it's been one hell of a week. So much E3 stuff has happened. Sega themselves have done a lot of E3 stuff, mostly interviews though, to be quite honest. We did get a new trailer for the 3DS version of Lost World. We got a new Bayonetta 2, I think we got a new Bayonetta 2 trailer through Nintendo. We got a new Total War Rome trailer. Essentially we got a trailer for every game that Sega made. Or like Sega is, in the middle of, is a part of. As for Mario and Sonic Olympic Winter Games 2, that doesn't have a new trailer. I have not heard any new trailers. So, yeah. But we'll get into details about what exactly, happened. But I would like to mention something that actually did. I do have some ranting, but also some praising at the same time. So there's going to be some. This is going to be a topsy-turvy Sonic News show. I'm also still getting over the excitement of yesterday's adventure I had at Best Buy, so yeah. But yeah. The most important Sonic news that came out in the past day or two, post E3, is, well, Sonic Boom. There's apparently a Sonic cartoon in the works, and apparently one of the writers of Rugrats, South Park, and My Little Pony is the one that's going to be working on it, and he's the guy that actually leaked this information. Well, sort of leaked it out, if you can say that, but yeah, needless to say, quite interesting, you know. It's pretty damn crazy to think about. I did not expect that to happen. I really didn't expect that whatsoever, and so suddenly. But once again, instead of our fan base actually being excited for this, they're complaining about it. Even though Sega needs the money that they're going to no doubt get from this thing, and the increased fan base they're no doubt going to get from this thing, the fan base itself, again, proves why you can't really satisfy it all too easily. Now here's where, yeah, this is going to be fun. Essentially, there were comments like, Sonic, there's going to be a My Little Pony Sonic crossover. We don't want that. Sega, what are you doing? I don't want a new TV show. Well, it's sort of like that. And, there's also, why is this being reported? It's not. Sega didn't actually reveal this. I call lies and hacks. That's essentially what that's just about what I'm hearing in terms of complaints. So, needless to say, I do have a bit of something to mention. Nowhere did it say in the article or anywhere on the internet that this show was going to be a My Little Pony and Sonic crossover. No one said this. You guys, whoever these people, all these people that cannot read worth a damn, need to read worth a damn. Because none of these freaking sites that have reported on this have actually said that. This is not going to be a crossover. They even said plain and simple that this show was going to have Sonic, Amy, Knuckles, and Tails. At least so far it's been confirmed. And it would be a comedy show. That doesn't sound like a crossover with My Little Pony to me. It sounds like they're going to be making a big deal about the Sonic franchise. Just because the guy actually worked on My Little Pony in the past, or worked on Rugrats, or worked on this, doesn't mean there's actually going to be a crossover with those shows. That's like saying because what was it? The guy that worked on Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff Girls and this show and the next show. That doesn't mean that all those shows were gonna have crossover episodes with them. That doesn't mean there was gonna be a Dexter episode. Dexter's Laboratory was gonna be a crossover with the Powerpuff Girls. Doesn't mean the Powerpuff Girls is gonna be a crossover with the Dexter's Laboratory. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. What the guy worked on does not. It just influences the writing, not the crossover. Not the characters that'll be in it, but the writing. And considering his resume is pretty damn amazing, I expect some pretty damn good writing. And that's all there is to it. Now, as for why people think, oh, hey, it's not, from Sega, so it's automatically wrong. No. No. This is... I don't know where this memo came from that said, hey, if we have, if only if it comes from Sega, it's only true if it comes from Sega. I don't know where this rule came from, but it's a damn wrong rule. We found out stuff from Microsoft. We found out stuff from Sony. We found out stuff from the comics, from Archie. It doesn't matter if it's from Sega or not. If it's an official source that's in touch with Sega in some way, that we know we can trust, they have credentials, then yes, they're a pretty trustworthy source, and I'd say that they're very worth reporting for. And I should note, just because this isn't Sega that reported it, talked about a show that honestly they're not even really have much in part of, other than the fact that they're endorsing it and letting their characters be a part of it. Yeah, I'd say that they don't have as much of a role in comparison to the other shows. So, guess what? Really, I'd say the guy that it came from is a lot more worth noting as a source than Sega themselves. Not to mention, we also got info from Sega from fans that, from fans that got the games early. It doesn't have to be from fucking Sega for it to be a credible source. I do not know where this memo or this rule came from, and I'm not pointing fingers, but there's some people out there that are saying this. It does not have to be from Sega to be a credible source, but it does not have to be from... If it's not a credible source, then it's not a credible source, and you have all the permission to laugh at it. But considering a writer for the show pretty much it was confirmed from, well, pointing fingers, not pulling fingers, pointing fingers. It's pretty crazy, It's considering the guy himself actually, pretty much the guy himself and the site, like a site that's, I can't recall exactly what the site it was, but I think it was his official site or something like that. Considering it's been pretty much from the guy himself, and he's someone that's working on the show, and he's a writer for many shows, I'd say he's trustworthy, people. I'd say he's pretty trustworthy. He's not some guy that made a random post on 4chan. He's not some guy, he's not me. He's not some guy that's, trying to pretend to be some anonymous user on the internet trolling and shit like that. No, he's a credible person that's has a vast resume of shows he's written and this thing and the next thing, and no, he's very credible. So why are we complaining? Why are we not trustworthy of someone that's actually trustworthy? But anyway, I just, it's weird. But anyway, I will say this much, that was really the only big post E3 Sonic and Sega story. So, um, anyway, I think it is time though to get to the main part of the show, and that's to review everything, all the predictions I made. And I got interesting results, needless to say. So, we're going to start with Microsoft, since they were the first to show up and, do their thing. As I'm suddenly burping. I just figured you should know that, because, it's so important, and you're totally not eating considering it's the dinner hour on the East Coast. I'm totally not, anyway. As for Microsoft, so Microsoft, basically I forgot to say what they needed to do. Boy, I'm not on with it today. Here's what they needed to do. Let's see how well they did this. Microsoft, I told them not to fuck up. I said they shouldn't fuck up. They kind of did, and they kind of didn't. They kind of did and they kind of didn't. I said that they needed to appeal to the consumer and show that they still cared for them. Again, they kind of did, but they kind of didn't. I say they kind of did because they appealed to the consumers for the 360 and gave them benefits that we really should have gotten before. But they didn't clarify anything regarding the Xbox One, and they gave it a shitty price. So, no, I'd say that they're not, yeah. Microsoft did show plenty of games, though. They very much showed games. I have to give them credit for that. They showed plenty of games, and that was something they really needed to do. They also didn't show any TV. They didn't have any TV, Call of Duty, or sports talk whatsoever. They didn't have any music concerts or Connect. So they really didn't do too bad. They was meh. But they didn't, however, explain the Xbox One with more clarity. They did, however, reveal the price and release date. They didn't reveal some specs. We still don't know much about the specs. Well, actually, we do know about the specs, but it wasn't through the conference itself. I think it was discovered from interviews and stuff. So, which was odd, but in any case, there you go. Microsoft didn't show anything but games and some Xbox Live benefits. They actually appealed more to the 360 than the Xbox One now. But yes. What else? Yeah, apparently Microsoft used HP desktops to play their games at E3. With NVIDIA gaming cards instead of the ATIs they said would run on the Xbox One. So yeah, they kind of faked quite a bit of the stuff there too, but yeah. So yeah, Microsoft did do that. They did do that. Now, the next company in line was EA. Needless to say, all EA needed to do was not fuck up and don't overdo it on sports, and they did both. They fucked up majorly, they brought in a fucking rapper, and they definitely overdid it on sports. I mean, there was a whole freaking half of their damn conference was sports. So I wouldn't even say half, I'd say more of it. And oh my god, the freaking backlash I got. Just because of the fact that they showed, I'll get to that in a moment, though. The backlash I got on Twitter after EA's conference, during and after EA's conference, was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Like I said, I'll explain that in a moment. But, oh my god, was it poor. Like, like the backlash, I wouldn't even. I'm not saying it was stupid, but my God, did not people not think before they type? Um, I'm not pointing any fingers, and I'm not saying who's to blame. But there were some responses I got that I was not entirely fond of. I'll say, I'm not because hey they had an opinion, but no, the way they expressed it kind of yeah. But EA did fuck up. Honestly, it was the worst of the conferences. But not that I'm surprised. It's EA. Shockingly though, I did not expect EA to be the worst. I thought Microsoft would be the worst, but as it turned out, EA was the worst. But indeed, there was that, and then Ubisoft showed up. They said, and again, they were meh. And once again, I said what they needed to do was, if they're going to try to be funny, improve their jokes. Otherwise, just don't make jokes at all. They really shouldn't have made jokes at all. From the Girlwood shit to the fucking Twitter checking live, there was nothing funny about that conference. The banter was, down to a minimum. I'll give them that, but there's still banter. But they did talk about what everyone was there for. I will give them credit. They did talk about stuff, and they did remember the games. So they weren't. Again, they were meh. But some of the games they did show off, and some of the stuff we heard was just stupid. That fucking rabbit. I swear to God, the fucking rabbit shit was just horrible. I mean, really, just no. There was that. Then we got Sony. They showed the PS4 console. They explained some specs, and oh boy, did they explain some specs. And did they explain them in a way I don't think we've seen in years. And boy, did I said Sony needed to indicate they were for the games of the consumer, and boy, did they. They didn't dwell on social networking so much. They revealed the price and the release date of the PS4, and boy, did the price get a big reaction. The release date was kind of a release date. We got a holiday 2013, but this holiday season release date. But yes, we got all that. As for showing plenty of games, I'd say they were just about there. I think they showed quite a few games, but I don't think they showed plenty per se. I think it was in between the two. But they definitely some games in particular were just shocking, like Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 15. Boy, that was some stuff that people weren't expecting. But yes, there was Sony, and then we get to Nintendo, who basically rounded out the conferences. Nintendo needed to show a wide variety of new games. They did not do that. They don't dwell on the new Mario games too much. They didn't exactly do that. They did show some Mario, but they didn't dwell on them. They just showed trailers for them, so they needed to explain why the Wii U is better than its competition and why people should buy it. They didn't exactly do that either. They needed to appeal to third-party developers and to the consumer. Again, that wasn't exactly the case. Don't overdo it on discussion in regards to Wii U updates. They did that well. They did not overdo it, and they didn't even talk about it. So they needed to give the Wii U Virtual Console more love. They did not do that. They didn't even mention the Wii U Virtual Console whatsoever, from what I recall. As for Sega, they needed to bring their A game and advertise their new games as much as possible. And again, Sega, bar none, I think, did that very well. They brought their A game, by putting out lots of trailers, and they advertised the new games as much as possible. With the promotion for Sonic Lost World, they did so many interviews with people, and this thing, the next thing, they really promoted that. So essentially, what I felt like they needed to do, a lot of what I felt needed to be done by the companies either did happen or it kind of happened. I'd say it was, I think it was split between the three, which made it, you know, it was, yeah. What can I say? I just, I just, I, I felt like what a lot. I think it could have been much better, but I think it could have been a lot much worse too. Um, what can I say? I really don't know. I really don't know. I really, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I can't really decide, you know? I'm just so torn between how well this E3 was or not. Like, it was definitely better than the last few years, but in terms of on its own, I really can't say. But I will say, I will say this much. As much of an improvement E3 was for the past few years, that doesn't mean that doesn't automatically give E3 mean E3 was great, you know. I mean, yeah, E3 was better than the past few years, but that doesn't mean E3 was actually great in its own context. But it was better than the past few years. So, against the past few E3s, yeah, it was better. Standing alone, however, it's more complicated. So, it's weird, I know. But yeah, now we get to the point where let's kind of review the predictions, shall we? So, what did I expect from Microsoft? A lot of the same as last year. That did not happen at all. The Xbox One will have the same bad stuff and no one will be pleased. That happened. The console will be dated in price. That happened. Clarity will be given, but questions may linger in other aspects. Well, questions did linger in other aspects, but no clarity was given either. So it was even a worst case scenario in that little detail. Microsoft would show some games, but they'll be lackluster. And that's pretty much what was the case with me. I did not like hardly any of the games. In fact, I don't think there was not one game in Microsoft's conference that I even gave a shit about, honestly. And you could easily get them on a different platform too. Very few of Microsoft's games they showed off were Xbox One exclusives and stuff, you know. And from what Xbox One exclusives I've heard, not really that big. But well, Mario fanboy Konami already passed by this point, so it's not really worth talking about. Konami just sucked. It was not really a good. It just sucked. But yeah, there was really not much in the way of stuff from Microsoft in terms of quality gaming, you know. I predicted that a few more specs would be mentioned, but not many. Did not get that. A meme or two will come out of this conference. Well, I don't know. I think I'm torn between whether that's true or not. There were some moments that I think could very well have been meme-worthy, like the sound problems. No question about it. But yeah, I haven't seen anything actually become meme status, but there were some meme-worthy moments in there. So yeah. Now EA, because I'm going in chronological order of when they each did their conferences. EA, more sports games taking up the conference. That freaking happened. The Xbox One will get more love from EA than Ubisoft. I'd say I don't know, really. From what I recall, I don't really recall too much in the way of Xbox One being mentioned, but I could be wrong. But I will say this much: I did not hear anything about the Xbox One from Ubisoft, so that I think may be very well a yes. But Ubisoft never mentioned the Xbox One from what I recall. Speaking of Ubisoft, they had lame jokes galore, just as I predicted. 3 to 4 games will be shown, including a little Rayman gameplay. We did get a little Rayman gameplay. As for 3 to 4 games, I'd say it was about 4 to 5, so I was a tad off on that. And a meme or two definitely came out of this conference. The fucking Girlwood is a meme on its own because of how stupid it is. But yeah, that was Ubisoft. In case you guys are wondering why I'm just speeding through everything, it's because there really isn't much to dwell on this stuff. I think it's at this point where we just want to put E3 behind us now that we've got our cravings done and over with. But yeah, Ubisoft, and then we get to Sony. They definitely proved they were better. They gave their console a release date and the price. They did not talk about social media at all, which was shocking to me, even though we expected a whole lot about it. They talked a bit about TV, but nothing about social media, from what I recall. At least not that much of it. I think they did talk briefly about social media. But yeah, either way, that little detail I had, talk about some social media but not a whole lot about it, I'd say that was either right or even better than like it turned out Sony didn't even talk about it at all or whatever. I don't know. They definitely showed the PS4 itself off, and it looked really weird, honestly. It was like the Xbox One, where it was huge in the terms of width, but it was actually rather slim. So, yeah, it's bulky, but only in width and not height. So, it's not thick. It's thin but wide. Whereas, yeah. They showed more games, definitely. They definitely showed more games, but how many of them? Exactly how many games that were shown off? That's really more of personal opinion there as to whether you feel that Sony showed enough games or not. But yeah. As for Nintendo, they definitely had a bombshell dropped in the Smash Brothers trailer. Holy fuck, Mega Man. That was a big bombshell. They had another bombshell when they dropped the Wii Fit trainer. They had another bombshell when they dropped the Animal Crossing Villager as a bombshell. There were Sony bombshells in that trailer, which was very nice to see. A new game will be announced that wasn't known before. They actually did do that. I was shocked. They actually got that right. They announced X. Or I think that was the name of it. But they did announce a new game we didn't know about before. Sonic was in the Nintendo Direct, but he did not get discussed. He was just part of a third-party montage of upcoming games, really, in that retrospect. Actually, that reminds me, they did kind of appeal to the third parties, sort of. Sort of. The third Sonic title did not get announced. I thought the Best Buy Nintendo E3 demo event game list would be underwhelming, and it kind of was. But honestly, after the adventure previously, I'm actually not as against the list as I was before. Now that I've actually played Super Mario 3D World and Mario Kart 8 at the event, so Not bad. The Wii U Virtual Console wasn't even mentioned. It didn't get dwelled upon, and it did not even get mentioned. So I'd say I've been about 50-50 so far with predictions. As for Sega, they'll win over more fans with more Lost World gameplay. They did exactly that. The third Sonic title did not get a surprise trailer whatsoever. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games 2 did not get a trailer either. Lost World did get more gameplay though. And more details on both games did get mentioned. There were some more details about Lost World, including the fact that we actually do have a Super Peel out. A chargeable Super Peel out. And we also found out about that the Dream events will be returning in Mario and Sonic Winter Games 2. But yes, you got that right. The chargeable Super Peel out is back in Lost World apparently. From all the tweets I showed, and apparently from a article I read, I think it was on Sonic Stadium. But yeah. So what about my grades? Let's take a look at the grades I had for before E3. Exactly 1 week ago, I predicted that I would give Microsoft a D-. I predicted that I would give Sony an A. I predicted that I would give Nintendo a B+. I predicted that I would give EA a D. I predicted that I would give Ubisoft a C-, and I predicted that I would give Sega a C+. So what are the official grades? This is officially my grades for E3 2013. I gave Microsoft a C. So that's a good indicator that I thought they did a bit better than I thought they did. Sony got an A, a solid A. So I felt like they did, I felt like Microsoft did show off games, but none of them were appealing, and a lot of them were first-person shooters. Sony, they were a little bit less, they were a little bit better in the sense they had more variety and stuff. And like I said, they had a magical moment that I think really was the best moment I've heard and seen in E3 in a long time. Etc. etc. Kingdom Hearts 3, and they had a lot of shockers too. But etc. etc. Sony got an A, solid A. Nintendo got a B-. I felt like they really did not have a good variety of games at all. They pretty much said what they were going to talk about, and that was it. They didn't have really any surprises other than what was in the Smash Brothers trailer. It was only Smash Brothers that really saved this conference from being an average one, EA got a D+ because it's EA and they can't stop their damn sports fetish, nor their fascination for stupid, pointless celebrity cameos like Drake, among other people. And they obsessed over balls too for some reason. Ubisoft got a C because again they are shit with the rabbits, etc. etc. We heard more. We just, you know. I don't know. Like, Ubisoft, Drake is supposed to be a rapper apparently, but no one gave a shit, so. But in any case, yeah, big eyebrows and a monotone voice. Kind of like me. Kind of like me. But yeah. But what can I say? But what else? yeah, I'm just shocked at how mad Ubisoft was. They were probably even more mad than Microsoft. But I'll talk about E3 overall and how I felt about it in a second, which is where I'm going to get to talk about when I was talking about the backlash and all that. But Ubisoft was a solid C. Sega was a B plus. They really did do well. I gotta give them lots of credit. They really did they really did well. But now we get to what I think of E3 overall, from a personal standpoint. Honestly, can we just stop with the fucking shooters? Can we just stop with the freaking sports games? Can we just stop with the fucking cars? Can we just like I don't have any problem with them personally, but can we just stop making them all the fucking time? All the fucking time. We did not get video game did not come to be because all we had were this one genre. Back in let me point at the 90s and like how diverse gaming was in the 90s. We had shooters, we had platformers, we had racing games. You know, we had arcade games. We had I can't recall exactly what I don't know that many genres, but we did have sports, but sports wasn't that big of a deal back then. EA didn't obsess over it. I just this whole EA was essentially they even took even fucking Plants vs Zombies was essentially turned into a fucking shooter. I mean, yes, Mario fanboy in the 90s, because I actually was born in 1982, so, yeah. I'd say this borderline 90s kid. I don't know if it is definitely a 90s kid, but I'd say it's at least borderline. But yes, I'm just sick of the shooters. I'm just sick of the all the fucking cars. I'm just sick of the freaking sports. Gaming didn't get to where it was today because of those three games. I don't care, how much they sold, I don't care how much Call of Duty sells. It's Call of Duty. It's the same shit over and over again. There's nothing new about it. The most they'll put in that's new is a fucking dog. Seriously. I'm sorry, but I just don't I don't obsess over FPSs and TPSs. That's third-person shooters. Is it? It really struck me as rather coincidental on everyone that went after me for my opinions after EA's conference and during EA's conference. Essentially, they were pretty much, from what I know, FPS and TPS fans. They were big shooter fans. Well, I'm sorry that I don't like shooters all the time. I don't like it when the whole gaming community shoves them down my throat, because I just don't like that. I'm being very blunt when I say that I do like shooters. I don't have a problem with shooters, but I like variety, and I like seeing stuff other than shooters sometimes, and I like seeing stuff other than sports sometimes, and I like seeing stuff other than cars sometimes. I like platformers, I like stuff that I can just sit down and just have fun with, I don't play games to shoot everything. I also play games because I'm just a bit of a casual gamer. I've grown up being a casual gamer. I was a casual gamer all my life. I've become more hardcore since then because I'm even more of a nerd now, but I'm still quite a bit casual too. Does that mean E3 doesn't appeal to me? No, it doesn't. It just means that I prefer games to be fun. I like the games to be fun, and all I saw was just graphic obsession. Obsession with the graphics instead of the gameplay. It's just stupid. I honestly don't give a shit about graphics, to be quite honest with you. I grew up with freaking SNES games that were this primitive game, pixels, and I don't give a shit, honestly. I mean, that's what I liked about. Seriously, I like fucking Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, despite the fact that it was pixelated. It doesn't have to have superb graphics to be a fucking good game. I'm being blunt there. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a perfect example of a game that does not have these next-gen graphics, but it's still a good game regardless. Same with Super Meat Boy, you know? Super Meat Boy is a good game. It might be hard as shit, but it's a good game. And the game in that is very pixelated. You know, I mean, Cage Story is freaking pixelated and people think that's a good game. Games don't have to have good graphics to be good. Good games. The gameplay is what matters, not the graphics. But no one keeps that in mind. It's not about the graphics, it's about the gameplay. I'm sorry, but that's just the case. I mean, it is. I know my fanboy, I do tend to say that a lot, but I have a nasty habit of that. But yeah, it's just I grew up with these, primitive graphics, in NES and SNES, and I don't I don't give a shit, I don't give a shit about freaking graphics. I mean, I understand the work that goes into them, and that's fine, but that's not the only thing that needs work put into it. Gameplay does too. I'm not gonna have fun with a game because of graphics. I don't. That's like, just basically all that glitters is not gold. That's pretty much what I'm saying here. All that glitters is not gold. Just because a game has superb graphics doesn't mean it's going to be a superb game. It might look pretty, but that doesn't mean it's going to play pretty. But anyway, it's just, I'm just sick of all the freaking shooters. I'm sick of all the cars. I'm sick of all the guns. I'm sick of, like, all the sports. It's like, no gamers grew up on just that, And it's like, that's all we're getting. That's it. Like, seriously, I hardly got any new games I wanted after E3. I think out of all the games I'm wanting right now, it's Animal Crossing New Leaf, because everyone's wanting me to get this game, so I'm gonna get it. It's pretty much, I've never heard a game get talked about so much other than Smash Brothers, except Animal Crossing New Leaf, so I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna get Animal Crossing New Leaf. I'm gonna get Luigi's Mansion 2. I'm gonna get Smash Brothers. I'm gonna get Sonic Lost World. Gonna get Mario Kart 8. I'm gonna get Super Mario 3D World. Donkey Kong Country Returns 2. Peggle 2. I think that's it. Think being the keyword. I might get a Link Between Worlds as well. I don't know yet. I'm gonna get Pikmin 3, I think. I'm gonna get Yoshi's Island. No, Yoshi's New Island. So it's gonna be a pretty extensive list of games for me coming up. To be quite honest. But yeah. What can I say? I should also note that Steam is going to have a sale coming up. I believe Steam's summer sale is not too far off. And I don't even know how I'm going to do this. I really don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know if I'm going to put the $50 towards Animal Crossing New Leaf, or if I'm going to put the $50 towards Steam. Or if I'm going to put the $25 towards the Wii U Virtual Console, or if I'm going to put the other $25 towards Steam. I can't decide. I'm so torn right now. Because I know if I don't know yet. I want to take advantage of the Steam Summer Sale because I got like 8 games that are on the list right now that I want. 2 of which I think are in pre-order. Would have to be pre-ordered right now. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I think like I think I've gone into details enough. Basically, what I thought about E3 was that it was meh. I really didn't give a shit about it, and why is that popping up? I really didn't give a shit about that. E3 was meh to me. Sega definitely got most of my interest, and I'd say Sony, Nintendo, and Sega got most of my interest, quite honestly. The PS4 is probably gonna be the next console I'll get, but it won't be until probably my birthday next year, to be quite honest with you. Um, so we shall see. But yeah, I pretty much talked about all I could. Sega, on the other hand, like I said, they did reveal quite a bit of new information. We got a bit of contradictory reports, though. Aaron Weber saying that Sonic Lost World was inspired by Extreme, and then Izuka saying it wasn't, and yeah. So yeah. um. But what can I say? It's been one hell of an E3. I'm just glad that it's gone. But what will happen from here? Well, I don't know. Sonic News Show will be continuing. I don't know if there's gonna be a show next week. I think I'm gonna be taking a break for the next week in terms of Sonic News shows. Not to mention, it's back to normality. I'm going to start resuming my YouTube videos starting tomorrow. I just don't know how things are gonna go with the YouTube videos. I got to get back in the groove on that because it's been a couple of weeks. Because remember, guys, I do put up YouTube LP. I do commentaries on YouTube. What else? Pretty much, if there's anything to look forward to next, it's Summer of Sonic. As far as I can tell, then that's the next thing to come. That's the next big thing to come up for us. So, and as for us, I'd say the Sonic community, because we still don't know anything about it. I should know that E3 has come and gone, and we still hardly know anything about. We don't know anything about Summer of Sonic right now, other than the fact that it's going to happen at this point. I'm just absolutely shocked at how little we know about this convention at the moment. It's just, I'm really beginning to get worried now. But I can tell you this much, and I guess it's no secret now. I will tell you, I'm going to mention two details that are out now. One that's very Sonic Paradox related, and another that's actually more directly mentioned in my part, like kind of related to me more so, to be quite honest. So self-promotion. Anyway, first thing, the big, I will mention what the thing is that's related to me, since that's a lot less important. Apparently, I just found out today, when I randomly looked on the site. But apparently, I'm now officially on. I've now been officially mentioned on the BrainScratch Commentaries TV Tropes page. And effectively, the Sonic News Show has gotten even more mentioned on the on the TV Tropes page for BrainScratch. Not only was the Sonic News Show referenced on the main page of BrainScratch Comms, but now it's been referenced on the character list, the guest commentators list for TV Tropes. And I'm really amazed that I'm actually kind of surprised at what was said about me. I note that it was not anybody from BrainScratch that wrote this. Note that it's not anyone from Note that it wasn't me that said this, but this is the TV Tropes page right here for guest commentators. This is the first thing I saw. I scroll down, and I see this. I see my name right there, nice and pretty. So what was said about me? Now this is going to be the amusing part, so I may as well figure it, hey, I'm going to read the TV Tropes page, that part of me that includes. I'm going to actually do a video where I read the entire BrainScratch page for TV Tropes, and then all the sub stuff again, so and then I'm just going to read what's said and then actually commentate about, in that little video I'll actually talk about stuff and, add on things. So I'm actually rather amazed at what was said, though. So yeah. So what was said about me? So, in this section it says, another member of Sonic Paradox. Aside from doing an interview with the BrainScratch crew, you guys know what show that interview is referring to. It's this show. On his own channel, he has appeared in several live streams and impressions videos, though he hasn't been in an actual commentary yet. He's still a pretty chill guy, though, and we wouldn't mind seeing him more often. That was actually what was said about me, in terms of what I'm supposed to be, in reference to BrainScratch. Now, when it comes to TV tropes, they have little characteristic tropes, which is where the site. That's the main thing about the site, is they like to do characteristic tropes things. So I have two tropes that apparently apply to me. There's the early bird cameo, which essentially just means I showed up in a side thing before a main thing, in chronological order on that channel and stuff. So it said, I first appeared in the second Google Plus livestream and has appeared in several videos since, but we're still waiting for an actual commentary with him in it. The other trope is the quiet one, at times. Thus, the running gag is the occasional joke of, hey, Donnie's here, by some people when he does get to talk. But yes, that was essentially what is referred me in there. An interesting thing is that the character page is actually referring to me as Sonic Sega Fan 1991 on here, and then the actual, like, the main page for BrainScratch actually has me as Donnie, aka SSF 991. So they do acknowledge, that I'm also SSF 991. Really, it's up to your prerogative whether you want me to. It's up to you whether you want me to be Sonic Sega Fan 991 or SSF 991 or Donnie, or Tom Bob Blender calls me Sonic Fan, or one fan out there called me Pervy Sage. M20 kind of labels me the King of Butts for some reason. There are sirens in the background. I didn't hear any sirens. No, I really didn't hear any sirens. I really didn't hear any sirens. That's just weird. I do not understand that. Might have been a TV, might have been something, my family's watching, but other than that, I don't know what else. Also, there is I kind of live near the main road, so you might have a tendency to hear sirens going by every now and then. They can be kind of loud, so. But yeah, essentially that's what was taught about me on the TV Tropes page. I'm really amazed at that. But when I actually do the video where I read the BrainScratch Commentaries TV Tropes page, which will be probably this week, I will go ahead and actually add on to what was. I'll actually talk about stuff more in regard to all that. So, because I felt like a separate video is needed for that. So yeah. What else is there to talk about? Well, now we get to the more important news. It's been kind of leaked out every now and then, from what I noticed. Every now and then it's been leaked out, but pretty much news has, I'd say, become official now. Sonic Paradox is going to be at Youmacon 2013 this year. Like I said, I think it's official. I say it's official to say that, so I'm going to say it. There's going to be a big Sonic Paradox meetup at Youmacon this year in Detroit, Michigan, which is between, I think it was October 29th. It was either October 29th or October 30th to November 4th, I'd say. It's like 3 or 4 days or something like that. I can't recall exactly. It's around October 31st to November 3rd. Okay, Mac to the rescue. Yeah, Dr. Mac Fox to the rescue there. October 31st to November 3rd. But indeed, there's going to be a giant Sonic Paradox meetup. I can't really say who's going to be there right this moment because we're still working on that. But I can tell you this much: there's going to be a panel, or at least there's a panel being worked on. I would say honestly at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a panel though. I think there was a panel. I think there was a panel last year, so you never know. But indeed, there's a panel. More than likely going to be a panel, and if there isn't one already, honestly, it's something that we're gonna have to find out. But this will be at Youmacon this year. As I said, it's been kind of hinted at every now and then. You've been hearing leaks and stuff like that. I'm sure a couple or so leaks. But I'm pretty much putting it out there that Youmacon 2013, you'll be able to see these Sonic Paradox guys, essentially for a big meetup, a first actual meetup for the first time, and you're gonna see some surprising faces there. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say for this show. I will tell you guys this much. I hope you all enjoyed E3 this year. It's back to normality from here on out, but yes, guys, I don't expect much of a Sonic News show next week, because more than likely I'm going to take a break from any Sonic News stuff for a week or two. I don't know yet. But I will be continuing. I'll be getting back to my LP videos and stuff on YouTube, so that will make up for the week off, I hope. So, yeah. Until then, guys, thank you all for watching. And I will see you soon for another edition of the Sonic News Show. But for now, this is SSF signing out. Sayonara, guys.